So even though this model appears to be very complex, and it has these crazy organic shapes, it's actually not that hard to model. So I think one of the most essential steps for this piece is creating a nice reference sketch. So I've done exactly that. I started by drawing the splines of the top. Okay, here they are. Then I drew this triangle on the bottom, and then I just tried to replicate these connectors from those reference photos. And I'm not 100% sure it's perfectly accurate, but I think it's going to be close enough so that nobody is going to be able to tell the difference without spending some time comparing it to the reference photos. So I think it's going to be okay. Right, so the sketching part was a bit time consuming. I just went through these photos and tried to see where these connectors come out from and where they end up, and just try to sketch that in this 3D model. Well, it's not a 3D model yet, it's just a spline sketch. Okay, and I'm going to use this as my reference. So let's freeze it and change my background to solid color. And let's start with the line. Actually, we can duplicate the line from the sketch. And let's start with these lines that represent the top of the table. Right, I'm going to disconnect them, or actually detach. Okay, where is it? Let's so detach a copy. And let's freeze it. Right, so it's a pretty rough sketch. I'm just gonna even it out a little bit to make sure all these distances are pretty much the same. Okay, like that. Alright, let's move this one a bit downwards. Okay, so I think it looks good. And this is going to become our tabletop. I'm going to collapse it to editable poly. And now let's add some support edges to make sure these corners are rounded exactly the way they should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select some of these edges like this, and I'm going to use the extrude tool. Make sure you set the height to 0 and just modify this width to change the offset from the edge. Okay, I think something like this might be good, maybe a bit more. Okay, and that's fine. And let's do the same thing for the other edges. Extrude, use the same settings. And one more here. I think that's fine. Right, I'm gonna adjust some of these vertices manually. I'm gonna enable the edge constraints so I don't accidentally change the shape of my edges. Okay, like that. Make these white corners a bit thinner. And maybe let's try and see how it looks by adding some shell. I think it's pretty thin. Something like that. And turbo smooth. Okay, not bad. I think the seams are a bit too large. So let's turn off those constraints and maybe just make those closer. And since the shape is so organic, we can get away with some imperfections. Okay, and just around the corners a little bit. And you can turn on the preview to see exactly how they're gonna look in the end. And let's maybe bring this edge a bit to the left. Alright, I think the basic shape is okay. Looks somewhat similar to the reference. And that's gonna be fine. Okay, so now I'm happy with the top, and we can proceed by making all this complicated mesh below the top. And I'm gonna approach it using some very simple techniques. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an edit poly modifier above the shell. Turn off preview the end result, and just start extruding the parts that I think should go down. So for example, you can see that I need to extrude this corner. Okay, I'm gonna unfreeze it so I can see better. So this corner and this corner. Okay, and this one, and this one, and I think that's okay for now. Let's extrude them, and let's make it all the way to the bottom. All right. Then just move them to match this triangle on the bottom. Okay, so this one is a bit wide. Let's maybe rotate it a bit and move this vertex like that. Alright, next up this polygon. And this one as well. Okay, looks like we need to extrude this corner here and move it over here. Right, and now it seems that we are missing some edges here if we want to extrude from this point. So okay, so I'm gonna add some edges here just by using the connect tool. Okay, and slide it maybe slightly towards the center here and chamfer it. I think that's fine. And now we can take this polygon on the bottom, extrude it, and move over here. Alright, so these are the basic legs. Now let's connect them together. So to do that, I'm going to use a slice plane. Let's look at the reference. Okay, maybe a bit thinner, like that, and just slice it in. And now you can just basically select some polygons and bridge them together like this. Okay, maybe let's start over here and just bridge together. Alright, looks okay. Maybe let's rotate this back a bit. And I'm going to connect these two edges so we can connect two polygons to here. So the one from here and the one from the other side, both can connect at this point. Right, let's adjust the shape to make it nice and smooth. Okay. And let's see what happens with Turbo Smooth on. And you can see the shape already starts to look quite similar to what we have here. But perhaps some of these pieces are a bit too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select some edge rings, connect, maybe even scale it a bit smaller, like that. Okay, great. Moving on, and just go all around the table and fit those